Hello there, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another episode of CookieCast. Today on CookieCast, you certainly can't see the forest today because he's not here. You can't see the forest for the teas without the forest. Mr. Panas is off doing something. Who knows what? I hate to think, honestly, I do. Me and Mr. Williams try and steer this ship through the choppy waters of the football world, predict some games, and just generally get amongst it. So let's see how we did, shall we? And by seeing how we did, you go to YouTube and you watch the video, and while you're there, you click the subscribe button, and everybody cheers. Cool. So here we go. This is CookieCast. You can't see the forest for the teas. Oh, well, this is cosy. James, why did...
Eagle-eyed. For those watching on YouTube, you may notice a huge gaping hole where a James Panas-sized James Panas would usually be. I suppose is the best way to say it, but
absolutely.
Sadly, we're flying not solo because obviously there's more than one of us, but
Sans Panas.
Yeah, we'll go with that. We're Sans Panas. So, welcome along to another instalment of You Can't See the Forest for the Teas. Well, you can't see
the forest.
This week, you definitely can't see the forest.
Can't see the forest.
I think when I missed a week, didn't Panas try and do that joke? He was like, well, you definitely can't see the teas this time. And then obviously they went and shat the bed, and I'm pretty sure had a terrible season. So, is it a harbinger of things to come?
Well,
let's just put it that way. Not for me to say.
I don't want to jump the gun, but I do feel that that he should be here to answer for any performance-related issues that the Nottingham Forest might be experiencing. As a spokesperson for the club, I do feel he should be here to answer.
You would have thought if he had anything about, he'd be there front and centre, offering an explanation as to why his team's been absolutely a dog shit.
Yeah.
But obviously that's spoiler alert. Spoiler alert. We're getting ahead of ourselves, Andy. We're getting ahead of ourselves. So I suppose we usually open up with this week in football. James is normally the better one for this because he's normally he's on it with the insta twat stuff, and I'm not so much on with that. But this Middlesbrough made a signing. I mean, if you can. I'm waiting to see what he gets on what he has on the back of his shirt. So they've signed Chuba Akpom, or Chuba, as he will be referred to in this house. So he's a striker. They brought him from he's PAOK Salonika in Greece. I think he's the reigning Greek Super Cup MVP. Didn't even realise we gave those out in football personally, but.
No, but anyway.
So I think he scored 14 goals last season, or he scored 14 goals in his time with PAOK. So he'll come in as a different option to Brett and Ashley Fletcher up top, which is good because Ashley Fletcher went off injured on Saturday.
Oh dear.
So I imagine there's potentially a possibility that he may miss a couple of weeks, depending on how bad the injury was. So we'll just sort of keep an eye on that. I haven't seen it yet, but Matt Moore informs me that apparently Forest have made a signing this week. Now, it's not official on any systems or anything like that, so I can't see it on Sky Sports as a confirmed transfer. But apparently they've now brought in Harry Arter, who is a midfielder who I believe was last on the books at Fulham. He might have just been there on loan, or they may have signed him. I can't quite remember. But Matt seems to indicate that they've either, I don't know if they've signed him or if they've just got him on loan for the season, but either way, he is not happy about it.
No?
Oh no. I think he even went so far as to say that he's fuming. Fuming! Not his favourite player, old Harriata.
He's beefing.
He's absolutely not wrong, Andrew, because I don't like Harriata. Ever since 5 seasons ago, he was playing for Bournemouth against the Borough, dived, won a penalty, Bournemouth scored the penalty, went on to win the game. So, he's on my shit list, let's put it that way.
Oh dear.
So Harriata in at Forest, Chuba in at the Borough, and if he apparently I think he's going to wear number 10 for Borough, and if he goes with Chuba on the back of his shirt, I think Mr. Williams is going to have to buy a Chuba 10 shirt. Who's the one who parading around with a nice Chuba on their back? So, watch this space.
Yeah.
That's the transfer news this week. Other than that, well, Championship, specifically Forest and Borough based, not a great deal of noise really. There was the trial of the 1,000 supporters at the Middlesbrough Bournemouth.
Yes,
sounded like it went well.
Yes, I wanted to ask about that because that's something that I don't know if I said at the time. I might have vaguely mentioned it, but I thought it was strange. I thought it was a strange time when, on one hand, we're being told that we're staring down the barrel of another lockdown, to then being told we're going to start letting fans into the grounds. Obviously, it's all socially distanced and it fits the criterias for things like that, but it just seemed strange to me, so I was quite interested to hear how that actually went.
I think there's been positives that came out of it. I think they were happy that no one's I've not seen anything personally, but I've not seen that anyone's tested positive for the virus after going. Other than anyone who had the virus beforehand, such as Neil Warnock himself has actually got it. But he is currently convalescing back in Cornwall, his home. So, I mean, that's a hell of a commute, that, innit? Cornwall to the Borough. Jesus. So apparently he's gone back to Cornwall to get better. So fingers crossed he'll be right as rain sooner rather than later, so he can go back and give the team the kick up the arse it no doubt needs. The sound they produced, it said there was only 1,000 fans in, so it's missing almost 34,000 people. Created a fair bit of racket, when the goal went in, there was a fair bit of noise. Again, spoiler alert, moving forward to the result. But when the goal went in, there seemed to be a fair decent amount of cheering and whooping. So, obviously, with the new measures that Boris has come out with in the last couple of days, they're having to scale back the trials. So that's that done now. They've had to test events. So I think it was Middlesbrough, Norwich, and I still can't remember the other championship team that had to trial it. But I'm assuming there was nothing that came out that was negative about the trial. So had the circumstances not changed with the lockdown measures, then I think they'd probably continue to do it and maybe even increase it by 500 people, 1,000 people at a time, until they get to a point where they're fairly confident that they can give it half capacity, however they want to do it. But obviously that's been put on hold now until further notice. So I don't know if we're at the point now where they're just going to say, sack it off and just basically say there's only, 3 months left of the year. Do we just basically go into another semi-lockdown until the end of the year? see if we can what's the word I'm looking for? Contain the virus outbreak and the spread again. So we don't get like a second spike. And then just start everything again from the new year. But
I think pretty much the take on most things now is I think we're just going to write off the rest of 2020 and just look to where we can start again in the new year. And that I mean we're in September. I know we're heading to the back end, but this is September. We've still got a chunk of the year left. But I think at this point it is looking like a what do we do in February, let's say.
Yeah, well, we're what, a week away from quarter 4 of the year, so.
As with
everything. Well, it's the same as everything. They'll put the lockdown measures in again until the bloody money runs out, won't it? So, money dictates everything. As soon as the money runs out, things will change, and everyone will be expected to start going back to industry and stuff like that. But because let's get back to some football chat.
Indeed. Is there anything else pressing from last week?
Nothing that's on the tip of my tongue. No.
Then I shall get my book. I have in my book 2 games from last week. Those 2 games kicked off with Nottingham Forest versus Cardiff City. Looking ahead. If you thought last week's scores were interesting, this week's scores, hoo-wee. So, this is why I was saying that I felt that Mr. Panas should have been here. I've already done the scores. I've already looked at the scores. Who scored? Some might say more importantly, who scored. So, Nottingham Forest, Cardiff City, 0-2. 0-2. Yeah. What is actually going on with Nottingham Forest this season?
Who knows?
It's baffling to me.
They say that when teams get relegated, they say that you can normally have the hangover of losing is a hard habit to get out of. Because obviously you're really low on confidence. The team, Norwich, for example, if you take them as a perfect example, so I think they lost the last 10 or so games in the Premier League before getting relegated. So they've come off the back of... Normally, you've got May to August to get out of that habit of losing. You've normally got the full pre-season to get into the new routine of things. You bring in new players, you train a different way, you learn a different style or whatever, and you're able to get over it. But obviously, with the end of the season and the start of the new season coming so close together, there's maybe that thought that they're still in last season's mode in their head, and it's translated over to the new season, and they're not really performing to the level that they should be. So obviously for Forest, they've had 3 games now, haven't scored. In all fairness, in the bits that I've seen, haven't really looked like scoring, to be fair. They've been very off the pace. Obviously this is where he'd normally chime in with, they've just been unlucky and stuff like that. But I think even in his most optimistic, hardened Forest supporting eyes, he'd have to say they've been way off the pace in the first 3 weeks of the season. So you'd imagine that something will have to change shortly. Whether that's sacking the manager, hopefully not, because he had for what, 3 quarters, 7/8 of the season last season, he hadn't played really well. They were arguably 1 result away from getting in the playoffs. I mean, they'd have been absolutely shanked in the playoffs anyway. So, I don't know. You'd imagine that all it's potentially going to take is one win, and then that could spark them back into life.
Yeah.
Obviously, we'll come on to their game this weekend, which I think is a winnable game, but we'll cover that in a couple of minutes. But yeah, the game against Cardiff at the weekend, they were second best all throughout. I mean, they went 1-0 down after 3 minutes, and after that, from what we saw, they were never in the game. Like, they didn't really create an awful lot of chances. They didn't have, I think, off the top of my head, I can remember one chance that Graben had where he was pretty much, the ball came across and he was right in front of the goal and he blazed it straight over the bar. That was the only massive chance that I can think of off the top of my head that they had in the entire game. So something needs to change quick. Let's put it that way.
As far as scores for that game are concerned, I mean, you know, we sort of joke about James and his 3-0s to say that he would be very optimistic about this game. He wasn't. It was very much, he predicted a 1-0. Obviously, that wasn't the case. I followed him down that dark path, but I did say for the last time, so obviously that will gauge for this week. Mr. Williams, you correctly said Cardiff City would win. Didn't give it enough legs though. You only went for 1-0, so just the 1 point. Both, according to what I saw from the BBC, both goals were scored by the person that you predicted to score the 1 goal you predicted. And that delivers you 2 wholesome points. Me and James, we don't like points. Points are not for us. We're above points, as we'll see shortly. Then we take a little trip all the way over to the Borough.
Dancing time.
The Borough were taking on AFC Bournemouth. I apparently was the only person that had faith in the Borough. Did once again say would be for the last time. Now I feel this is one of those situations where a win or a loss is a very clear-cut situation to be in. A draw is not. 1-1 is what I'm seeing on my book here.
1-1 indeed.
How was?
By the sound of it, so I was spending a little bit of time in the presence of Mr. Anas on Saturday. So we'd gone into town to watch the Forest game.
Indeedy.
We had a few adult beverages, if you will. So we watched the game and then we went back to his abode to have a few more a few more beers, a little bit of a party, if you will. And on the way back, we partook of the radio coverage of the Borough game. And by the sounds of it, for the bits that we heard, it was basically after about 20 minutes into the first half, through to our time. So by the sounds of what they were saying on the radio, the Bournemouth scored first, arguably against the run of play. And Borough were a bit unlucky, really, to go in 1-0 down. They had a couple of chances, but weren't able to capitalise on it. And then the second half made the change of putting Marcus Brown on in place of Ashley Fletcher when he went down injured. And that seemed to reap the benefits of that, because he was the one who scored the equaliser. So, yeah, it sounded like they potentially could have won the game. They also could have lost it, as there was a chance that a guy called David Brooks, who I believe Panas might have picked as the goal scorer. Well, he had a chance that was just creeping in the top corner until Bettinelli managed to get across and literally just claw it out of the top corner with his literally fingertips out of the top corner. So it was a great save. Absolutely wonderful save to keep it at 1-2. Yes. 1-1.
1-1 indeed. Like I say, everybody was going for wins on this one. I was the only one that backed the Borough. You and James both went for the same with a Bournemouth win. As it was 1-1, so no points for scores. However, who scored that Bournemouth goal?
Well, this is up for debate. Because apparently, on the radio, they were absolutely convinced that it was a Borough own goal. However, at this podcast, we use Sky as our official source of facts and figures for the games. So, Sky Sports reported the goal for Bournemouth down as a Dominic Solanke goal.
Just remind me who you said was going to score for Bournemouth again?
Well, I think he's an absolutely terrible striker, so obviously it follows the rule of he will definitely score, and he did.
So,
apparently.
To round out your 2 points from the previous game, another point from that game, giving you 3 points for the week. Me and James, no points at all.
So what you're saying is, for the past 2 weeks, you've both been chowing down on a couple of bagels. Bagels for breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
Yeah, 6 bagels between us for the 2 games and the total score. But that's in our rear view mirror, looking ahead down the road that is the football road. We look ahead to Huddersfield taking on the once mighty Nottingham Forest. I believe Mr. Panas has shared his predictions for both of these games.
Has.
I believe he will have picked Nottingham Forest 3-0.
So, you can always tell how tempered he is with his predictions, his expectations, his thoughts, his feelings, if you will. He has got, I mean, normally he would go last as it's his team.
He would go last.
He's not here.
Fuck him.
We'll put him in first, get his out of the way, and then me and you can give ours on. So, Mr. Panas has picked Huddersfield Town 0.
Nottingham Forest 0.
Nottingham Forest 1. And I'll give you half a guess as to who he's put on as his goal scorer.
Lewis Grabham.
Correct.
I agree with what you were saying earlier. I do fully believe that Nottingham Forest just need to get a win. They just need to put ball in net more times than other team. I don't think that will be this week. I don't think Huddersfield will be doing the job either. So it's 0-0 from me.
Interesting.
And we'll assess the situation for next week, because if it carries on like this, next week it'll be whoever Forest are playing, 5-0. Mr. Williams.
I love it. I share in James Panas's optimism. I feel that Forest just need a win just to get them going, just need a goal just to get them kick-started. Huddersfield, very poor. very poor. I, however, am going to go for them to get 2 goals. So I'll go for 2-0 to Forest.
Wow.
And I'll go for Graben and Taylor to get the goals. It'd be interesting to see how many games Graben's gone without scoring for Forest, because this could be like his longest drought ever.
Be a while
I think he
now.
has scored for about 4 or 5 years.
Mm-hmm. So, also, we do like to talk about Middlesbrough football. Middlesbrough take on QPR this week.
Of course. So, this is a former Colin Wanker team.
Might be a little
So
bit fire in the belly.
You'd imagine that the game's probably going to come a little bit too quickly for him to be back on it, back in the dugout. Be surprised if he's if he's there. So doesn't really have that edge to it because of that. I'll go with another 1-1. I'll go first on this one, even though it is my team.
1-1. Okay.
Yes, please.
Goal scorers.
Now, for QPR, I will go for... I'm really sorry to do this to you, Andy, but can I have Osai Samuel, please?
For the Borough.
It's got to be Chuba, hasn't it?
It has. Do you have James Panas's score prediction, please?
Now, you might have been sat waiting for that for a while because the feed went very slow. So, you'd asked for James Pallas's prediction. He has obviously gone fully the opposite way and has decided that Borough are the new Forest, and he's gone for Borough to lose the game 1-0.
Okay. And who is he thinking is going to score that one mighty goal?
Are you back?
Am I slow? Am I not there?
No. He has gone for Dykes.
Okay.
Yeah, you sort of. I think it's just about catching back up with itself.
I was going to make a joke and then realised the level of inappropriateness for that joke, so I didn't. Moving swiftly on. So, do you remember how last week I gave both the Forest and the Borough their final chances? It was now or never. But as I said, I don't believe a draw. A draw really finishes it up. So, for what might be the last time, I am going 0-1, and absolutely is going to be Chuba. Let's face it, he's coming out. He's going to make an impression, big impression. Game 1, day 1, smashes it.
Let's get some cash. Let's discuss some cold hard cash. both had Matty Cash.
Go.
Unfortunately, there won't be any Matty Cash talk this season as he's no longer there.
No.
So, Andrew, you have Huddersfield Forest 0-0 is 7-1. Middlesbrough 1-0 QPR is also 7-1.
Interesting.
Therefore, you have a double of 63-1.
I like that. That feels like a good number to me.
Then we have myself with a 2-0 Nottingham Forest win at 10-1. A 1-1 Middlesbrough QPR draw at 5-1, giving me a double of 65-1.
That's also a good number. I think we'd be happy.
And then finally, we have the 1-0 double of Forest 1-0, QPR 1-0, 6-1, 7-1 respectively, giving James Pass a double of 55-1.
All of those are respectable numbers. I would take all of those. Obviously, winning for the week would be nice as well. So, money. This is going to be another one of those like the other week when it was like, what was it, 4-3 or something. I believe, unless I am very much mistaken, that is all the games between now and the next time we meet. Do we suspect James Panos to return, or is the shame too great?
I fully expect him to come happy in hand to next week, tail between legs next week, full of excuses, full of apologies. He's let the viewing public down. He's let the audio listeners down. I can only assume he's going to come back with virtual cake. Let's put it that way. He's going to come back with virtual gifts for the audience.
I love
to make up for his shocking absence this week.
Particularly Paul. Any other business from you, sir? I take it it's gone slow again. It's gone slow again, hasn't it? He's waiting. Look at him. Patiently waiting.
He's gone again.
Yeah, I've gone again.
He's gone again. He's gone again. He's back.
There we go.
The feed's all over the place, ladies and gentlemen. Apologies.
Any other business?
I think it's my internet has finally just given up the ghost.
It's because I've been used too much. Too many podcasts in a short space of time. It's like, no. You need to dial it back. Any other business?
Could be it. Nothing for me. I think short week.
Punchy. Real punchy. That's what we like. Bite-sized chunks of football news.
Little nibbles, little mini parmos of football knowledge.
Divine.
Delicious.
Well, if that's it, then that's it. What can I say? Everybody at home, send us your predictions. Let us know how much you're going to win on this week's double-double. And if you send your predictions and you manage to score the highest score of the week, we will send a lovely gift your way. A prize, some might say. It may or may not be a signed photograph of Paul Williams, and that photograph may or may not feature clothes. We can't say. Find out by winning the week's predictions.
God, can you imagine if I've got that Chubba shirt by then? Oh.
Just draped.
What a surprise for people. God.
Draped. Not even wearing it. Just Caesar style. Nice. Right. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you for joining me. Thank you for taking the time. And same bat time, same bat channel. I'll see you next time.
Au revoir, folk. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. So there you go. What do you think of that? I thought we did all right without Mr. Panas. I thought we did okay. Me and Mr. Williams can do it. I'm sure we can maybe do it again. You know, if the situation arose, we could give it another crack. I reckon. Yeah. YouTube watchers, do subscribe, click for notifications, leave us a comment. How about that? That's a new one, isn't it? Do the comment thing. Everybody jump over to thecookiecast.com. Check us out over there. Send us some form of love. Could be social media love. We have the social media, you know. So that's it for this one. Until next time, gonna say bye and I'll see you then. Bye.